everyone, welcome to another Data Vault Q&A brought to you by Iris, the best automation for your lakehouse. I am joined again by Nols Ebersohn. Hi, Nols.
Hi, Julian.
All right, I have yet another question for you today. Nice and simple. How do you govern change in a Data Vault model over time?
How do you govern change? It depends.
All right, thanks for your time today.
Here's the thing. It depends on whether your model is, or your Data Vault is model-driven or data-driven. And
Right.
so there's the approach on how you deal with change is largely coupled to those two perspectives. So what do we mean by model-driven? The model-driven is a modeler will sit down, will make do the model, make a decision on the model, hopefully record their modeling decision and the why, and the necessary governance items like the profiling and subject matter expert inputs, etc. Let's assume all of that good practice is in place. They'll make a choice. They'll make the tweak to the design, either tweaking the existing structure, or they would introduce new structures as appropriate, and then they'll generate and deploy it using something like Iris to facilitate the code generation, and then standard DevOps type process of deployment and so on would occur. So that is no harm, no foul. The data-driven approach is the metadata. The engine is aware of what the source structure is like and where it's currently configured to go. And if anything changes at source, it automatically assumes that 99% of small organic changes are descriptive details. It will simply cascade it to the existing satellite structure that's associated to descriptive details.
Right.
And so that automatic cascade is fantastic because schema drift, schema evolution is automatically managed. That has, however, a risk factor, and that is that the item that's added is assumed to be descriptive.
Yeah.
And so then the standard CI/CD processes will kick in if you can't do that automated cascade through. So financial institutions are a little bit more cautious. So we tend to find that the more cautious organization would rather opt for a model-driven approach, which allows for the necessary governance steps and DevOps and CI/CD processes to be audit-trailed as usual. Or organizations where agility and response to change is more important than it is necessarily an audit trail, like a travel and accommodation organization. They're not particularly doing, regulatory transactions and all the rest. They're simply taking your payments to bookings and whatnot. That kind of cascade, the agility, the ability to respond to change is a much higher priority than necessarily an audit in a financial context. So those are the kind of organizational overtones that could exist. Now, there are banks and financial organizations that do support schema drift, but they have negotiated and agreed with the different sources on exactly how they will deal with it.
Yeah.
And there are conditions and caveats that allows them to do this response to schema drift without having to make any code changes. The code simply picks it up and runs through with it automatically. And so it skips some of those governance steps under strict caveats.
Yeah.
So it's what seems to be a fairly straightforward answer is it kind of depends. Now, if the question was aimed not necessarily at the approach implications, but the actual individual model bits and pieces, well, tools makes the job harder or easier. So pick your tool. Pick the tools carefully. So you should have a platform that allows you to make rapid changes to deal with these kind of things. And here's the secret sauce to it. You must have a service level agreement. You must have a contract with your suppliers of information, your producers of information, to your data warehouse platform. And it has to have teeth.
Yeah.
There must be consequences. Tell me about the change and I'll absorb it within business as usual. No harm, no foul. But if you don't tell me and it breaks something, I'm charging you double contract rates, right? Because now I have to suddenly, for a production support issue, pull my most experienced and valuable resources off that value add work that they were busy with to fix the break. And I have to backfill them with somebody else, which takes time to come up to speed. And so if you don't tell me, financial penalties apply. If you do tell me, it's as friendly as it can be. So these are the kind of, I know that's a pretty extreme example, but there has to be some sort of governance checkpoint that make people, just do the right thing and go, hey, by the way, you're changing something. Communicate.
I think, because Vault makes it so much easier to deal with change as well. Like, when we talk to Iris customers, we're talking to them about, growing the model, almost organically growing the model as they deal with, one delivery to the business at a time. So the model's always in change, and you're right. Like, it's with tools, it can be very easy to push a change through, as long as you know about it.
As long as you know about it. So the governance question is where it can get complicated or less so, depending on the organizational culture and appetite. And so very interesting question. Technically, of course, every single technology stack will have its own nuances, and I don't think that's the scope of our question today. But understanding and notifying, communicating around the change is very important. And just as much as we need to communicate as to what we have received from a data perspective, we need to communicate to the community out there and go, oh, by the way, these are the new data elements that have arrived.
Yeah.
We must as much communicate to our consumers as our producers has to communicate to us, just to be fair.
Well, the data wouldn't be in the source system if someone didn't want to know about it, right?
Exactly. And if it's something new, it's probably more fresh and more relevant than some of the old stuff that we've been carrying for a while.
Yeah, good point. All right. Wow. Good answers. Thank you for lending us your knowledge again today. Appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Absolutely. See you next time.